Welcome to the Achieve Results Now podcast, the podcast that gives you immediate actions you can take to start seeing life-shifting results now. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Achieve Results Now podcast. This is Mark Cardone.
And Theron Feidt.
We are ready to... So we've done a couple of podcasts at this point. We've done Samurai Integrity. We've done Samurai Courage. And now, we're continuing these principles that I think are just, so important to success in our daily life.
Well, they're important because I don't think they're taught unless they're taught by your family. I don't really know of a class, or a course that goes through all of this. Certainly, religious. If you go to a church or synagogue or a mosque, anything like that, I mean, you're going to have a lot of these principles. However, I like the way they're all laid right out for you. And what we like to do, of course, is to make it more of a modern spin. So that way you understand how to apply it. Because sometimes there are some big words that aren't used in modern life at this point. So explaining it and like we're going to do this time, here are the action steps that you can practice and show.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, today's episode is on benevolence, and the first thing people say when they hear benevolence is like, "Well, what is benevolence?" Right? Like it's a big word. It's stretched out, but really, like you talk about things that are sort of being talked about, but not really being taught. It's just about it's about kindness. It's about being nice to people. It's about being the type of person that other people want to be around. Not are you a nice person or are you a jerk? Right? And I think most people listening to this don't want other people to think they're a jerk.
Right. Yeah. And I really admire the whole idea of the samurai, and why we picked this is here you have fierce warriors that could certainly take care of themselves and defend themselves and others in many situations, yet they also practice the other side.
Right.
Which to me, I mean, that's just a great balance, that yin and yang that we've talked about, we've done podcasts on. And I really think that's the balance that we want to have. You want to be fierce and able to defend yourself, but also not have to be that typical, all the time.
Yeah. I love how the concept of yin and yang came back for our listeners when we were prepping to do this. Like your screen was really bright and mine was really dark, and we did a yin yang joke. So I think it's great how that like all folds back together.
Yep.
But so I mean, why would you say this is an important thing for people to focus on?
Well, for a few reasons. I think if you look at the world, we do need more kindness, and I think it starts at home. I think it starts with the people around you. I think oftentimes people, and I'm sure all of us are guilty of this to a certain extent, we're not nice to the people that we're closest to, right? And, we come home and let our hair down, so to speak, and then we're, complaining and moaning. And that's really, those people are the ones that we should show the most to. Yeah. Because those are the ones that stuck by us, and this is not a judgment, because like I said, I think we all do it to a certain extent, but it's something that I know that I continue to work on and work through. And like everything, we have our days, we have good days and bad days, but I think that's important. And then also it's obviously important when you're going outside, if you run a business, you can tell the businesses that the leader, the owner, the person that's there a lot is really good because their employees are really good. They're nice, they're polite, they're helpful. They're not stuck on their phone. You walk in and they don't even notice you're there. That it's not that person's fault. The worker's fault. It's the leader's fault.
Yeah, and it's
that's why I think it's important.
Yeah, I like that you hit on that. Especially like the taking for granted might not be the right term, but the way we treat the people that are closest to us, because we have that kind of comfortability with them.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's a word.
I don't know, but it sounds good.
But okay, we'll take it. But then I also think about the people who are like, oh, who tell their kids and their families like, oh, be kind to other people. Yeah. But then when they're on the highway, they're tailgating and honking at the guy in front of them. Like as soon as somebody's going 2 miles an hour too slow, we become enraged and that person's evil and So I mean, I think it's important, just like we say with all of these episodes, it's a practice, right? Success is a practice. It's not a thing you adopt. And these action steps are specific things you can do throughout your day and specific things you can help other people do throughout their day, just to kind of elicit that feeling of kindness in yourself and in others.
And I like the concept of every day is a new day. So if yesterday you weren't showing these qualities, today
Mhm.
start. If you listen to this in the morning, start it now. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter what happened before. You started today, and it's fresh, and it's a fresh new day. And then you try to do it day by day.
Yep.
I mean that's really what I found is the best way to do it,
Yeah.
instead of beating yourself up over what happened in the past. And not that you don't learn from the past, of course, or apologize to
Right.
certain people for your past mistakes, but it's important that you start each day and try to get better than the day before.
Hopefully you don't have to apologize to the same person for the same
Oh,
thing
that's not good, because after a while you
more
won't
than
have that person.
twice.
Yeah, you won't
Yeah.
have that person in your life if you continue to do that.
That's right. So let's get into our action steps. So I mean,
Yeah,
I think the first one is a great one, and it's something
yeah,
that a lot of people don't really have a clear understanding of. And I think
yeah.
you have a good way of kind of talking about this, but we're talking about empathy.
Right. I think people confuse empathy and sympathy, and they actually kind of put those two together. They
Yeah.
think they're synonyms, and they're not. Right. Um, I think it's important that you don't have. I don't think sympathy is very helpful most of the time, because then you're to me, sympathy, you're looking down at somebody, or you are in there with them. Like if they're drowning and you jump in, but then you drown with them. That's kind of what sympathy's like. You're in the
Yeah.
same boat together, and you're just. Empathy is what that means is understanding. You're understanding where they're coming from.
Hmm.
Okay, and therefore you can help them more. So when you have empathy with somebody, your goal is to help them to understand it fully. Where
Yeah.
sympathy, you're having a pity party together. And you're
It,
having a moan fest, and that just it's not that's not the way to do it.
yeah. And it's funny. I forgot who's, be what you said, having a full understanding and learning to be a good listener.
Yes.
Like learning to be a good listener.
Mm-hmm.
From our 7 Habits podcasts that we did, Stephen Covey always said, seek first to understand, then to be understood.
Yeah.
And I think we
Mm-hmm.
do, a lot of us have that habit of listening to respond,
Right.
instead of just listening to listen. I always make the joke with people in relationships that, when my wife and when my wife's telling me about a problem, there's these are things I want you to fix, or these are things I just want you to listen to,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and a lot of times when, we're talking to our friends and our family and they're having problems or they're having struggles, a lot of times they just want you to listen.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Um, and regardless, if you don't listen, you won't know which situations you're in. So
Right.
I think just being a good listener helps with empathy so much.
Yeah, it does, and it is, like you said in the beginning, a practice. So
Mhm.
something you have to work on, and not that some people aren't naturally more empathetic than others, but I think it is definitely something you have to work through. And I love the idea that you said is listen with the intent to understand. So you're trying to understand, and then even asking questions to clarify. I mean, we do this in business if we're trying to sell something to someone. We ask questions, but also we listen to the response, so that way we can get it towards the sale and close the deal. Not that we should be doing that with people that we care about, but we can still listen with the intent to understand.
That's
So
yeah. I love how you brought the sales thing up because it is funny. One of the biggest mistakes that new salespeople make, is they see they hear somebody talk and they see the opportunity to sell something and they jump on it immediately and they're like, "Oh,
right.
here's my product. You should buy
You
this
mean
right
at
now."
like LinkedIn?
Like LinkedIn, just like LinkedIn. They're like, "Oh, look, a person. Here's a thing." Where really, like, you think about the best salespeople, people are coming to them just to ask them questions,
Right.
you know, days, weeks, months, years before
Yep.
the person ever even offers them a product because, like, I don't know what you need until I listen to you, right? And actually understand what your needs are. And you just can't serve people
Hmm.
in any kind of positive way, whether you're in business or just in your personal life, unless you really have that empathy and that understanding.
So that message from on LinkedIn that I got from somebody I don't know, say, hey, I love your content, and it's something that I think is really cool. We should connect. You mean they're not going to sell me?
They just want to be your friend. That's
They
all.
just want to be my friend.
That's
But
all.
that's probably my biggest thing on LinkedIn, and I have only had maybe 2% of the people that ever have done that actually are sincere and
Yeah.
want to help you. All the other
Mhm.
ones want to go right to the sale right away.
Yeah.
And
Click on my link.
yeah, yeah. So moving on to number two. So number
I
two
love
is
this one. This one's
yes.
one of my favorite practice.
So I'll set it up,
Um,
and then I think you have some stories to say about this. So number two is showing kindness.
yeah. And I think this is, why is this important, right? Because like, of course, you hear we should show kindness, but what is it? And I think, the people I know who are really good at this started a lot of times not very good at this.
Right.
Just like everybody, they started, just kind of going through their day and in
Mm-hmm.
that, kind of in that haze.
Yep.
But it's an easy thing for us to practice because these are very real tasks we can do.
Right.
Things like holding doors for people.
Yeah.
Things like, buying somebody a cup of coffee behind you.
Right.
There's so many of those little acts of kindness that we can do throughout the day, but what's most important is that we're doing them with no expectation of getting anything back for
Right.
ourselves, right?
Right.
It
Exactly.
is it is the I think that is the definition of benevolence, is being able to do things for people and not keeping score. Because I think if you're keeping score on your relationships
Right.
and who's doing more for the other person, you're already losing the game.
Yep. And holding the door thing. I think, and maybe it's just around here, but I know my kids say the same thing. Is at least half of the people that you hold the door for don't ever say thank you.
Oh, for sure.
That can be, that bothers me. And I try not to say anything. I try to bite my tongue. I try not to be snippy with it, like saying you're welcome, nice and
Hmm.
loud, so they hear me.
Yeah.
Uh, and I'd love to say that I never do that. I only say it in my head, but that would be a lie. But however, I don't do it too often, right? But I think, and what I tell my kids, and my kids are adults now, but still, I still try to give them lessons every once in a while. Um, I think it is important you just do it. You do it
Yeah.
because it's the right thing to do, not because you're going to get a thank you in return.
Right.
And it's kind of like what you said: is you shouldn't do something because you're going to get something. That's like
Hmm.
that sales guy that's being nice to you, and when you tell him no, all of a sudden he's like, he's gone.
Right.
I usually say no once or twice to see what the
Hmm.
reaction will be, not because I'm not interested in the product, but I want to see what their true character is. So that's like my test for them. But anyways, getting back to that, it's like you said, you're doing it because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. And you're doing it for no other reason than to make somebody else's day better.
Yes.
And I mean the whole concept of pay it forward, I'm going to do something nice so that maybe that other person does something nice for somebody else.
Right.
And if I'm nice to 10 people and 10 other people are nice to 10 other people, I mean, imagine the positivity that spreads, right? Um,
Well,
and I
something
just,
I want you to share what you do in the dojo with high fives, because this is kind of like
oh,
the same
I know,
concept.
right? So that,
Kindness in a sense, but it is the same idea.
and I have no idea where this started, but especially with the leadership team and the demo team, we like to do 3 high fives. So it's like a clap, 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 right?
Right.
And we started doing that. Basically, it's like, here's one for you and here's two to give away.
Right.
And it's, so we're loading our gun to go out and impact people. You know what I
Right.
mean? But that's one of those things, it's just it plants in their head, okay, now I have the responsibility to go, and deliver these to somebody else and to
Right.
make their day a little bit better.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And just
stuff like that.
and I love it. And my final thought on kindness, and then if you have something, certainly
Mhm.
go ahead. Is it's free. Like
Yeah.
I don't even want to call it a soft cost, because the only cost is a little bit of time and a little bit of forethought, and then a practice of it.
Yeah.
So if you're running a business, being kind to your customers, being kind to the people coming in, holding the door for them, trying to help them, even if they're not going to buy something from you. Like somebody walks in and they want martial arts, and maybe they don't live in the area, or maybe our dojo isn't the right fit. Well, instead of just saying, well, yeah, we don't do that, and then that's all I say, I'm going to try to, gear them towards another dojo that I know is decent, in the area. I think that's part of kindness too,
Yeah.
and so I think it's important that we're doing that.
100%. It costs nothing, and to the people who say, well, yeah, but people don't really appreciate it. You never know. Like
Yeah.
you just never know whose day you're going to hit the right way,
Yes.
so it's worth practicing
It is
this.
worth it for sure.
And then moving on to our last one, and we talk about this one a lot, but specifically as it's a little bit different specifically as it relates to benevolence,
Yeah.
and it's gratitude, and I like to talk about this specifically in this case, gratitude towards other people and
Right.
how to show it, how to use it. And I mean, it is such a powerful tool,
Yes.
that I mean, I really think some of the greatest leaders were just really good at utilizing gratitude, not in a manipulative way, but just in
Right.
a way that made other people feel like they were appreciated, right?
Yes. And I think, I mean, so many people just want to feel appreciated. If they're working hard and you recognize, hey, I love the effort, and maybe the effort, especially when we're talking martial arts and somebody that's new starting off and at the lower belts, effort is what you want first.
Yeah.
They're not gonna, unless they've trained before, they're not gonna have great technique, and especially if they're younger, their technique isn't going to be very good. But if their effort and their attitude is good, you can show, hey, thank you for working hard for me today,
Yeah.
or thank you for paying attention. I mean, that's a way of showing gratitude, and it's not manipulation because you truly are thankful.
Right.
Any instructor or teacher knows that if you have a student that's eager and really wants to be there and showing effort, if you're a great teacher, you're going to do whatever it takes to make that student better.
Yeah.
And so it truly is you're showing gratitude in that way.
And gratitude is really like gratitude is watering seeds of greatness, right?
Right.
And I know that's a big statement, but when I always use the example of like you're at a student, those conferences you go to with kids where it's
Right.
the teacher, it's the parent, and if a teacher says, "Oh, your child's a great kid," and
Yeah.
the kid hears that, they don't know how to expound on that. They don't know how
Yeah.
to. But if they say your kid is a great listener,
Yes.
and it has that level of specificity, and they receive that praise for being a great listener, and
Mhm.
it's true, right? It has to be true.
Right.
They are going to strive in their lives to be a better listener and
Yeah.
to be a good listener because somebody valued that in them. And I think, we are, kind of in a world where we like to talk to other people because like look, it's easy and it's kind of lowest common denominator talk, but we love to talk to people about the bad experiences we have with people.
Hmm.
We love
Hmm.
to gossip. We love to get
Right.
I feel bad saying this, but it's lazy
Yeah. Yeah.
conversation.
It is.
But and we all do it. I do it. We do it
Right.
together.
Yeah.
I mean, but imagine what the world would be like if you went around talking to people and thanking people for the positive stuff that they were doing.
Right.
Going to that business owner saying, "Man, listen, I had a great experience here because of X, Y, and Z." We
Hmm.
love that as business owners because it not only we love knowing what we're doing wrong because we want to fix it, but sometimes it's great to hear what we're doing right, and
Right.
that gratitude helps grow better businesses, better people.
But I think, like you said, it is true. I think most everybody does it to a certain extent. And if
Hmm.
it's 20% of your conversations with people, that's really not a big deal. I think that's fine. But if it's 80% of your conversations with people, that's not fine.
Right.
That you are working towards being a toxic person.
Hmm.
That's really what you are. Versus if 80% of your talk with other people are talking about goals and showing gratitude and lifting people up and getting and just trying to bring the best out of people, and especially when you're dealing with kids. And what you said is planting seeds. I mean, that is so important. Anybody that teaches kids, whether it's martial arts, school, whatever, it's so important that you're planting seeds, and gratitude is part of those seeds that you want to plant. And I just think it's people don't realize if you only have if you're a parent and you've only seen your kids grow up, I don't think you have a full perspective of like we do.
Right.
And
Yep.
and I'm and just seeing kids grow from three, and then all of a sudden they have their own kids coming in to you, and you can see the benefits of what the seeds we planted.
Yeah.
And whether that's gratitude or any of the other principles that we're
Mhm.
talking about, it's super important that we're expressing that on a consistent basis.
Look. I mean, if the towels are piling up and I put them in the washing machine, and then my wife says, "Hey, I really appreciate you throwing those towels in. because I was super busy and things have been crazy, and I'm going to be more likely to do it again.
Right.
Not that you need to do that all the time because
No.
relation, but if you want repeat behavior,
Yeah.
a lot of times the best thing you can do is call it out and thank people for it.
Yeah.
On the other hand, like you said, if 80% of what you say is negative, people also hear that,
Yeah.
and sometimes if, hey, you say to a kid, oh my God, you're not a great listener, you're not, doing what you're supposed to be doing and stuff like that, you're going to get more of that. A
Yeah.
lot of
You will.
times it doesn't have that impact that you think it has
No.
on kids or adults.
Right.
So anyway, so I think that's great.
Yep. Yep. All right. So I think all of this is wrapped around you need to be mindful. So,
Yes.
in other words, you need to be aware of what you're saying, how you're acting, how you're interacting with people, mindful of what are your goals for the day. And I'm not talking about your accomplishment goals, but your goals of being a person. How
Yeah.
can you be a better person today than you were yesterday? That's really what we're talking about. And then we didn't talk about volunteering, obviously, is a lot of this, the benevolence in action is volunteering, whether it's with your time, your money, or both. So that's also something that you can work on. But let's review our 3 action steps.
Real quick, I was going to say to tap
Yeah.
on that, like I love plugging volunteerism right now because, and I know this is not a commercial and this is not a thing, but I'm in a lot of organizations.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody has enough hands right now. Ever since
Right.
COVID,
Yep.
volunteerism has dropped. So get out, find something you're passionate about, and go lend a hand, man. That's a great way to put benevolence in action. I love it.
Absolutely.
But let's hit our action steps. So,
Okay.
Going to number 1, that concept of empathy,
Mm-hmm.
that concept of being a good listener and really listening to understand people and not just to respond.
Number 2 is showing kindness throughout your day. It doesn't cost you anything. And as you start practicing it, then becomes a habit. And it just, you don't know the person that you're going to affect in a positive way by you just being kind.
Yep. And then number 3 is gratitude, showing that specific positive gratitude towards people, really watering those seeds of what you want to see in the world, showing people you appreciate them, showing people that you're grateful for the things that they do and being specific about it, I think is a really good tip. That wraps up this episode of the Achieve Results Now podcast, Samurai Benevolence. We hope you enjoyed it. Please share it with somebody else who could benefit from this episode, and we'll see you on the next show.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for listening. Hop over to our website at www.achieveresultsnow.com to get your free copy of our book, Ignite Results, 4 specific daily actions to help you achieve results now. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Achieve Results Now. Thanks for listening, commenting, and subscribing. Now get out there and achieve results now.